Thank you for that, Imuna. I appreciate that. So far, it was just wonderful to listen into the brother and sister give their feedback in regards to their take in regards to relationship. And I hear the main theme there is ego. You know what I'm saying? And that's definitely a great angle to actually address it, to see what is the sole root and the cause for a lot of the issues that we have. Just my take on it, and I'll be brief, is just we need to learn human physiology, right? Because human physiology will give you the simplicity in condition and position. So what do I mean by that? The word physiology, physio, comes from the Greek word meaning nature. Logi is the speech, utterance, or study of nature. When we understand what is hardwired in human nature in regard to gender roles, then we can get a better understanding of the dichotomy that exists and the essence of two before they can come and become one. Now, a great example on how to visualize this is examining the individual in regards to the sanctuary, okay? The Most High created a temple for Israel. And looking at the temple, there are various parts of the temple, right? So you have the outer court, you have the inner court, then you have the holy, and you have the most holy. So relationship-wise, a lot of times we jump from one part to the other part, and we skip all the other elements in between because we don't understand human physiology. You have to understand the nature of a being. And when we're talking about it from a scriptural sense, we're looking at it from the spirit, the soul, and the body. So examining the spirit, soul, and the body, each one of these elements of physiology of the human nature needs to be addressed accordingly, chronologically, and in particular order using a designated protocol for you to reach from the outer court and make your way into the inner court. We have been designated to be priests of the Most High. Therefore, our interactions with one another should also be in a priestly mindset. So when we examine the sanctuary and we examine the various stages of work and operation that the priests have to engage from the outer court into the inner sanctuary, this is how we should put in perspective our relationships with one another. And the only way you can do that is understanding the hardwired protocols in human physiology. And a good example of that is condition and position. Your condition will determine your position in regards to the sanctuary. A lot of times we want to enter into a situation in a very rough manner and expect to get the benefits of being in the inner sanctuary, but not realizing that there is a process of operation that we must undergo of cleansing, of renewing, of various elements of the showbread, of the menorah, of the different elements, the altar. There are different parts that we have to address before we make it into the inner sanctuary. The inner sanctuary would be the essence of what allows that person to tick. So you would start by getting a spiritual understanding, a spiritual profile of the individual that you're dealing with, because a spirit testing spirit. Once the spirits test one another, and you can use that by the word of the Most High, you can use that by hearing what the Most High says to your intuition, and then you express that. You can do it in various different manners, and then you can move from the spirit to the soul being the mind or the personality of the individual. So once we examine the spirit, then we make our way to the soul so we can determine the personality that we're operating it and how they both are in sync with each other. Once we move from the spirit to identify the soul, then we can make our way to the body. The scriptures is very clear in 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 9, that your body belongs to the Most High. So therefore, the body, or entering, touching, or engaging elements of the body, is part of the inner sanctuary. And before you can make it to that element, you first have to do the priestly work from the outer court and work your way into the inner court. This will determine your condition, and your condition will determine your position. And when you study the hardwired elements, male and female roles in human physiology, you will be able to better be able to determine, depending on what your gender is, dealing with the opposite gender, how to engage one another to make your way from the outer court all the way to the inner sanctuary. Okay. There's a lot of good stuff that was said. I was pondering some things in case I had to speak again, but a lot of other good things that came up. what I wanted to touch on something, but before I do, I want to address what's on the table. Being misinformed, investigating, asking questions, and patience, right? So we have a scripture in Ecclesiastes 7 and 8 that says the end of a matter is better than its beginning, and patience is better than pride. I know the brother mentioned earlier the word pride, and it says that patience is better than pride. Well, how do you get patience? Well, Proverbs 19:11 says a person's wisdom yields patience, right? So wisdom is being able to discern right from wrong, because it generally either takes instruction or experience in order for one to gain wisdom. And with the proper application of wisdom, then you will have the necessary patience. We live in a microwave society that tells us that it's best to get what you can get quick, fast. And when people have that type of mentality in this high-strung, high-paced environment that we call America, it's no wonder why people are rushing to get into things, right? And this is when we talk about the priestly duties, why everybody wants to be that high priest, but nobody understands that before you can get that role, you have to, number one, fit the lineage, and number two, you have to be consecrated, right? So people are impatient, and impatience will prevent a person from investigating, right? Because investigation requires time, energy, and effort. And because we're, again, in a microwave society that teaches us to get what you can get quick, this is why it is difficult for us to jump over that hurdle and be able to investigate. Now, I say that to say, this lines up to what I wanted to say earlier. And what I wanted to say earlier will relate everything. Again, investigation, patience, pride. And what I wanted to mention earlier is the role, right? So the scriptures is very clear on how the protocol or the order is supposed to go. It's the Most High, and from the Most High it's the Mashiach. From the Mashiach it's the man, and from the man it's the woman. And what is important in that is talking about covering or headship. Important thing is this. Two things I want to say real quick, right? First thing I want to say is that in order to examine the role of the man, we'd have to look at the example of Adam in the book of Bereshit, right? In the book of Bereshit, chapter 2, it says specifically what the role of Adam was before Eve or Eva was presented to him. This is very, very important. And if the man knows how to take care of the task and the assignment that the Most High has given him, he does not have to rush to go and look for his Isha. Why? Because the Most High will present her for him. How would she be presented for him? Well, she also will be in her ministry or her work of doing, because her objective is to complement and strengthen what he's doing, and vice versa, in order for them to become echad, or for them to become one. When the Most High created Adam, he gave him an assignment. He didn't create Adam with no purpose. If you don't understand what your purpose is, you could be ruining the agenda of somebody else, and they can be ruining the agenda of you. Purpose drives agenda. Motive moves or is the vehicle for intention. Yes, I can see what your intention is on the surface, but what is the motive behind that intention? If you have no purpose that is the driver in that vehicle, then one will never, ever understand what path you are going. And this requires patience and wisdom, which will refrain us from pride. Pride is when we put the cart before the horse, or we put self before the ministry. I'll say it again. When you put self before the work, now what you're doing is, instead of looking for something to complement the work, you're looking for something to complement self, and therefore it lines in the problem. And this is why we have to get out of the Western Eurogenital mindset of fast, quick, do it this way, and go back to the indigenous state of mind in which the Most High has given us, what he has taught us to look at the ant, you sluggard, how the ant is in operation, how the ant is working. Why are you not working? Why are you doing things outside of your purpose, but you wonder why you're having all of these issues interfacing and dating other people? It's because you have not discovered your purpose, or you've been living life with intention and no motive. So unless you have a designation, and that designation that you are have been given to, if the Most High has not given you the GPS to lead you to that destination, which is your purpose, then it's going to be very difficult going along the way to discover who is a hitchhiker and who is a person who is your intended passenger. Who is your hitchhiker and who is the intended passenger? Along the way, we pick up a lot of hitchhikers. and we wonder why things don't go right. I mean, you can watch any kind of scary movie where somebody's driving down a dark road and they pick up a hitchhiker and it all goes to hell from there. That is what we've been doing because, again, we don't understand the role of the sanctuary going from the outer to the inner, and we are lost our purpose, which determines the agenda, which is an alignment from your motive and your intention. So we have to learn that we have to get out of this microwave society, get back into the realm of wisdom or chachma from the Most High, and then we won't be picking up no more hijackers, but in understanding our ministry, we will align ourselves with someone to strengthen that and put that before itself.